Hello and happy summer, friends. This is Kristen with a quick intro for today's episode. As we take a little time to refuel this summer, and we hope you do too, we have a special encore episode so that the learning can continue. We're re-airing our conversation with Jason Champion of Winspire to help you prepare for your fall fundraising events. Today's conversation is all about your auction design. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. This podcast is a production of Elevate, an online learning platform for fundraising event professionals. We're coming to you today from the studios of the AV department. Please welcome our hosts, Kristen Steele and Samantha Swaim.
Well, welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. We're excited to have a special guest here today to talk to us all about auctions and making auctions easier. Before we jump into the conversation, we want to talk a little bit about the fact that we're seeing a lot of changes happening in the event world and the need to be able to look at how do we continue to grow and increase our revenue? How do we continue to make more impact? How do we continue to bring people together as a safety net for our organization? So we want to make sure you know about our event assessments and that we can come in and do some strategic training for you, your team, your committee, your board, and do an evaluation about where you might be able to have all your effort go to more benefit. So one of those strategic ways for changes is that we've seen a lot of growth in the world of online auctions and consignment auctions. Yep. So we've invited the expert here to talk about how we can make auctions a little bit easier. Jason is our guest here from Winspire, doing really unique, cool, interesting things. And so we want to make sure you all know about the resource and sort of the direction that we see auctions heading lately. So Jason, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's so excited to be here. I've been a fan of you guys for quite a while.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Kristen. Let's do the formal introduction and let everyone know who Jason is.
This will be as official as we get. Jason Allen Champion is an accomplished professional with extensive experience in business development, marketing, and strategic partnerships, particularly within the nonprofit sector. As Vice President of National Partnerships at Winspire, Jason manages nationwide relationships and drives revenue growth while ensuring client satisfaction. Prior roles include Senior Vice President at Getaway to Give, Area Director at One Cause, and Special Event Director at the Museum of Science and Industry. Additionally, Jason has an established presence in design, having been a finalist on HGTV Design Star and an HGTV On Camera Personality, which I love. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you're here. So, opening question. You are also, in addition to all these things, a nonprofit leader. So in that vein, with that hat on, how would you use a consignment auction to raise money for your nonprofit?
Excellent. Great question. And thanks for the bio. Hadn't heard that one in a while, so appreciate it.
All the bits.
We're reaching old school.
Yeah, going all the way back.
Stuff there. Using consignment items is making sure that you've selected the right items, the right price point, being able to maximize those to whatever flavor that you think your audience is going to be. And I always tell every one of my customers, clients, friends, family, foe, whatever that it may be, want to use this product, is to, do your normal strategy of making sure that you get items donated. Our product can be and it could be a lift. It could be the tent pole item that's there to draw the attention that may help you sell the other items that are there. But it's one of those things, it's like every organization is different. Every event is different, even though it may be the same platform you're using or the same venue or similar missions. Every one of them is unique in the fact that I like to have conversations to really strategize how to make sure to use the product properly. Because it is on consignment, you don't want to overwhelm it with all the consignment items, no risk. You want to have a limited number with some good mix of other things to go along with it.
Well, so for someone who hasn't used consignment before, can you just explain the ins and outs of what that means? Like, how do you define consignment? When do people pay for it? You just said no risk. What does that mean? Give us the 101 of consignment.
Yeah, awesome. So over at Winspire, we started in 2008. And we actually pioneered the travel consignment industry, meaning that we work with long-term vendors over the last 16 years to create a repertoire of about 250 packages, literally all over the globe, from hiking Kilimanjaro to truck lining in Tuscany to backstage Broadway to Who doesn't love drinking on Bourbon Street in New Orleans? Which I've seen y'all there. I know this works. So, it's great because you'll look at our website, you'll have a cost associated with each one of those packages. Traditionally, what you would do is put that into your auctions, raffles, giveaways. You would start your bidding at what that reserve cost is. And then anything you make above what that cost is what you keep and put in your pocket as an organization. The great thing about this, when we say consignment or no risk, is if no one bid on it, there's no harm, no foul. We provide every piece of marketing collateral to go along with each one of the packages to promote it properly, to make sure it's beautifully displayed, to get that interest, because it may be that some of these items that we use do not sell, but it drives them to the other items that they have worked on getting donated. So no risk, meaning you do not pay for anything until the item is sold, if it's sold. You pay for it traditionally out of the proceeds of what's come. We do not take any percentages of what you raise, nothing along those lines. That is not the proper way to run a company like this. And
Thank you.
The fact that, we've been doing this since 2008, we have a considerable amount of nonprofits that we work with every year that has seen tremendous success over and over and over with using one item up to 5 to 6 to 7 items. It really just depends on the size of your audience.
Can you explain the reserve idea for like the execution of it? Because I know a lot of folks will be like, what do you mean if it doesn't sell? Can you explain like how you prep an auctioneer for that?
Yeah. So prepping auctioneers are a beast within itself. We all know that. Yep. I love every one of them, and in my own special way, I love them. But we know that traditionally, and this is just a tip, like organizations spend the money, hire a professional auctioneer. I love that the weatherman can read a script, but God, he does not know how to sell a package.
He does not.
Mostly he doesn't know how to do a donation appeal. And executive directors and board chairs, you've been asking money all year. Don't get up again in a celebratory effort at that point and ask again. Like, give it a new face. Try something new. Professional benefit auctioneers can drive additional revenue that you may never thought that was there. So there's my little side topic.
Amen.
To talk about.
Amen.
Going back to what the reserve cost is, you can look at our website. Like I said, there's 250 packages. Each one of them will have a cost associated from $500 to $60,000. It really just depends on what you like. That reserve cost is what you would owe us if you sold that package. And when you've sold that package, you've made the money above what that reserve cost is. So if a package goes into an event in a silent auction and our cost to you is $1,000, you start your bidding at maybe $1,200, just a little over what that cost is. And anything you make above that $1,000 is what you keep and put in your pocket. And again, if it doesn't sell, there's no harm, no foul.
Yep.
The great thing about this, though, is you potentially could be identifying new donors by offering experiences like this. And especially through most of the software platforms, they have a watch button. My suggestion would always be, look at who watched those packages and reach out to them after it's over with, because you have no risk. Yeah. You can tell them what you want to sell it for at that point if they didn't buy it in the auction, and you're making money additionally.
I think where this comes into play that has been interesting as we've seen sort of it continue to evolve through the pandemic into hybrid events, et cetera, is taking the auction outside of the room.
Yeah.
With the idea of an online auction. And we're sort of promoting that silent auction with all those items that you've been doing all that procuring to fold that energy into the idea of an online auction where folks in the room, but outside of the room, or maybe not even in the room at all. Yeah. This auction becomes the thing that you're doing, and how consignment and that online auction intersects. And so you work at Winspire, which is consignment auction packages. You used to work at One Cause, an online auction platform. If you were setting up, I think when I say online auction, people go, I don't even know what that means. With those sort of skills under your belt, how would you set up sort of a perfect online auction? And what would that look like?
Excellent. I would, I want full control. I think that, you pick the number of items you have in comparison to the number of folks that you're going to have attending.
Mm.
So if there's a sense of urgency and scarcity when these folks are looking at these items and they're seeing these bidding, because it's more items doesn't mean more money.
Yes.
Less items
Agree.
means better money.
Yeah.
Limited items means we're going to make a lot of money. So it's the opposite in what you're doing. For me, traditionally, what I work with customers prior to my days at One Calls and to now, and any tech platform that they're doing it, I always tell them to open it at a minimum of 2 weeks in advance of the event. So one thing you're doing there is you're allowing people to start perusing and getting an idea. You can promote your live auction items, because God knows if I go to an event and I throw down for a 14-day Africa trip without talking to my husband, I'm probably not coming back to this room for at least 48 hours.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you got people plenty of time to process, digest. You're also not the only one fighting for that money in your area. Some of those folks that may see these items go, oh, you know what? I'm going to an event before then, but I like this better, so I'll save my money and buy over there. So you got to think competitive retail as well when you're doing this kind of stuff. But having it open at least 2 weeks in advance so people have got plenty of time to browse what's there. You're able to utilize those text message features. Hey, we just added a new item. You don't even have to tell them what it is. You can say, hey, we had a new item, go browse this. Because as in traditional marketing, because this is what this is marketing your items to sell them. It traditionally takes 2 to 3 times before you go, I do need to buy that loofah off of TikTok, because I've seen it now. It's the same concept when you continue to feed people with.
It's a great analogy.
I totally am going to go off on a side topic here. I do love me some TikTok, and I have found some amazing things on TikTok. The other day, I got suckered into buying a golf cart Jeep for $70. I'll never see that. I'll never see that show up. But I was like, I love it. Let's do it. So same thing. You get that same concept. You get that same motivation. You get those people looking at your stuff, and then they start going, I really do need that trip to Costa Rica. Oh, yes, I do need those Botox certificates. Yes, I do need this. So it's just making sure that people have repertoire. But I want to add one other thing to this, because most organizations are clueless when it comes to building packages or selecting items for their audience.
Yeah.
And they traditionally end up shopping with their own pocketbook instead of the donor's pocketbook. And while I'm not booking a trip to Fiji, the donors that are in that room potentially are booking a trip to Fiji. And all you're trying to do is shift some of that money from that Marriott that they may be spending it to you. So when you have the ability to touch base with guests, sponsors, previous attendees about a month in advance, maybe 2 months in advance of the event, with a small survey saying, we're building a really cool immersive experience this year around our silent and our live auctions. If we were to have a major sporting event, what would you pick? Masters, Super Bowl, Formula One, Ryder Cup, Wimbledon. If we were to have a beach vacation, where would you pick? Mexico, Cap Cana, Belize, Miami, the Caribbean. The last question saying, where do you want to go? And if you've got 5 people or you got 50 people that reply, you are giving them the opportunity to voice feedback. And God knows everybody loves to provide feedback, right?
It's good donor stewardship.
They're giving you information that can help you build a stronger silent and live auction. Because if 10 people said, I want a Botox certificate, and 12 people said, I wanted to go to Cancun, and this one said, I need to drink some wine, you are building something that the audience is participating in actively. So when they actually get there and see what you've put together, their willingness to give gets even better.
And I think you're hitting on it in the marketing piece. And I think sort of holding the bigger strategic frame for folks, what we are talking about by and large, which I know we're going to move into sort of mission items here in a minute, but prior to going there, we're talking about transactional giving.
Right.
And I think sometimes that gets conflated. and people are just like, transactional giving, no. And yet they still want to run around and do all these activities and all these auctions. That's what we're talking about. That's what's happening. And
it's
I think
transactional.
it's totally transactional. And so I think thinking about it from that frame and purchasing behavior and what that looks like,
Marketing
and all those pieces is helpful. The other thing I'm realizing is that we quickly moved into the idea of online auctions, and I want to back it up a second and just sort of lay out for folks to whom that may be a new idea. It is possible to have your event, have all the things happening at your event, and then outside of what's happening at that event, to have a strictly online platform auction where people who attend the event and also people who don't attend the event, and this is a great way to take that event out of the room, can participate in this online auction. Jason, you were talking about opening it 2 weeks prior to the event to sort of build around the event and then closing it post-event so that the event becomes part of that bigger picture. Also, we've had clients not affiliated with an event who have a gap they're trying to close or see an opportunity, and they do, I don't want to call it a quick and dirty, but a quick and dirty online auction where they do these great packages, many of them consignment, no risk way, to get some of those big sexy items. Maybe thematically it's a travel auction or a rare experiences auction or a wine auction, whatever that looks like, and do it all online and have people participate in that way. So there's a lot of ways this can integrate into things you're already doing and also open up a new opportunity for you without potentially all of the work of a big event to do an auction.
So I love what you just said of opening the opportunity. And that is where nonprofit executives get in their own head and start to withdraw. And when you realize that you are a global mission, regardless what it is, if you're in Paducah, Kentucky, and you're working on the homeless issue, that is a global issue we all face. You know, it doesn't matter that just because you're alone in Paducah, Kentucky, you're a global organization. And to be able to put something online, share through social media, you're garnering more people paying attention to what you're doing, just in general for your organization, but the entire cause. And so when people start working together like that to promote and build, we'll come quicker to finding solutions for these problems that we face on a daily basis.
I love that. I love that.
Well, let's talk about the specifics of mission packages, because Jason, this is something that you sort of like expanded my brain on. I've sort of been slow to adopt consignment. I've been a big fan of let's get what we can donated and let's not have any expense. And then the online auction world expanded dramatically during COVID. We started to see people adapt to online auctions independent of their event happening as sort of a additional campaign. And then you started talking to me about, well, we can get really specific and create packages that are not just about the survey of what where your guests want to go, but can also incorporate and speak to your mission. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the approach of centering your mission in your consignment?
I love this part. I love this part because I love building things that we know are going to be a slam dunk for folks. And this is another like little key thing of what we talked about with the survey. You know, you're asking questions, you're building excitement, you're roping people in. You know, over the last couple of years, you know, well, during COVID, we had plenty of time to sit and think, right? Especially around events and travel. We had plenty of time to think. So I started working on some product that I call donor cultivation experiences. And it could be for 2 people, it could be for 60 people, it can be for 600. But my first case study that I did was with the United Negro College Foundation. We created a package that took people to Memphis to see where Martin Luther King had been shot, going down to Montgomery, walking the bridge in Selma, and then ending Atlanta at Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Wow. That
package raised close to $700,000 for them that year because it was mission driven. It was focused. It showed folks what we're doing. These are why we're continuing to fight. These are why we're giving scholarships to these kids to get out in the world and fight for us, fight for our race, fight for our people. So it's really unique how we can do that. I build a lot of stuff for nature conservatories around ecotourism.
Mm-hmm.
I build stuff for Alzheimer's associations around multi-generational travel. So
Wow.
we've got options to work within the industry that can cater to what it is that your mission is. So one of my other successful ones was I built just a very generic package going to New York, but it was for Boys and Girls Club. Boys and Girls Club in Dallas sold that package to go to the Boys and Girls Club in New York. It revolved around Broadway, but those winners got to see the Boys and Girls Club in New York and volunteer for like 2 hours on Saturday morning, doing stuff with the kids. And it brought them back full circle of why they purchased the package, what they're doing. And now that donor is a donor of both chapters.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And I mean, I
So-
think people forget continued stewardship.
Yeah.
Right.
We should talk about that when we come back from the break,
Yes.
because stewardship is something that
Yes.
is a unique opportunity too, in that when someone buys the package, they still have now a relationship with you when they go on the package. So let's talk about that after the break.
Great.
We'll be right back.
Ready to take your fundraising to the next level? Need to get unstuck in your event planning? Now's your chance to connect directly with the experts behind the Fundraising Elevator. Book a one-on-one consulting session with Sam for strategic planning and fundraising strategy, with Kristen for your program and storytelling, or Mary for your registration and data tools. They're here to provide you personalized answers to all your event questions. Don't wait. Raise more at your next fundraising event. Book your session today at elevatenonprofit.com. You can also find the link in the show notes.
Welcome back. We are here with Jason Champion from Winspire talking about consignment auctions as a tool to greatness. That's the new
The
tagline.
tool to greatness.
So before the break, we were talking about mission alignment and what that can look like. And Jason, I'm wondering if you have a favorite mission-centered auction that you've seen or have helped design and you'd be willing to share. You were talking about some specific packages, but I think sometimes people can think more broadly,
Yeah.
either
the
in
whole-
theme or in mission, and use that as how they're hanging things off of an auction versus it being a bunch of non sequiturs
Mhm.
for folks.
Yeah. But one, I love themed events, right? I love that because we can curate packages that would be around that theme. So, 2 years ago, Moulin Rouge was the biggest theme that was out there.
Yeah.
We crafted packages for Moulin Rouge in Paris and Broadway to go to the shows. Like, it really just depends on where your head is and what you're doing. I tell all of my auctioneer partners, when you're in an organization and they're talking about what this mission is going to be, you just tell them that you can make it happen and then call me and I'll be the one that stresses about figuring out how to make it work for you. But I have done that phone call many a times on a Thursday of, hey, they've got an event Saturday and it's over the moon. Great. Let's use NASA. Let's do a Kennedy spacewalk. Let's do all of that kind of fun stuff to go with it. So we've got all those options to build and do it. But, coming back to the mission-centric and cultivation of things, I got two organizations that I love what they do. One of them is up in New Jersey, the Monmouth County Conservatory Foundation, and in conjunction with their year-end appeal, while it's dead of winter in New Jersey,
It's cold.
they launch a travel store with only sunny destinations.
Perfect.
Miami, Caribbean, Belize, Costa Rica, and in conjunction with their year-end campaign, make a donation, come over here, buy a trip. They mark the trips to equal comparison of what they would get if it was a straight donation, all that kind of stuff. And this last year we did it and it flew off the shelves like hotcakes because one, they had already been cooped up in the house for 3 months because it had been snowing early. And then you got, I'm ready to get out of here. They're starting to think spring break. So that went quite well of how that worked out for them and really drove some additional revenue there at the end of the year. And it was just being creative with very little effort to prop up.
Yeah.
Because all they did was post our photos on this line on their platform, send out the email, please join us, link in, whatever. It was brilliant for what they did because I think it took them probably hour and a half, 2 hours to get it completely set up, and it did a return of almost $150,000.
So I took that story and I utilized that story to help an organization that at the end of at the end of their calendar year last year, they had a budget deficit of about $65,000 that they were trying to close and just like end their year strong, saying, "We did it." And they came to us and said, "Is there anything we can do in preparation for our fundraising event that's 4 months away that would help us draw in some of that money now that we can close our end of year strong?" So we talked about sponsorship and we talked about like launching ticket sales early, and then ultimately decided to use your example and take the end of year appeal and launch with it a online campaign. We put together 6 packages that were completely mission centric.
Yep.
So the packages were specific to the fact that they work with women who are writers. And so we took like famous seminal text in the literary world and said, where was this written or where is this author from? And then put together packages that were based on experiences that would associate with that book. And they closed their year with, meeting and far exceeding that fundraising goal. And it lived independent of everything. It wasn't associated with their event. It was something that ran for, I think, 2.5 weeks. And it took us about 4 hours to put together total.
Yeah.
It was an amazing way to close out their campaign.
Well, and I think I want to make sure we're making the quiet part loud here, because I think we've been kind of talking about it parenthetically, but as an option for folks as well, both in person at their event and on an online auction platform. When you get the bidding for one of these items up to like a sweet spot and beyond, multiple people get to go.
Yeah, you can sell it multiple times.
Jason doesn't just have one of those for me. I can keep purchasing them from the consignment company and giving them to my donor at that higher donated bid. And so I think that becomes that's where some of the magic happens, right? Where you see, oh, the bidding is really high for this. And when we get to this point, all of a sudden it unlocks, hey, guess what? Multiple people could take that package. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities in consignment that sometimes when I've gotten the beach house from Joe and Jim, they may not want me to sell it multiple times. They're like, no, that one weekend in August, that's all we got for you, friend.
Right.
And so it becomes a different way to engage multiple people in an auction as well.
And you're potentially identifying new donors.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
that's the thing, is because one thing that I always tell every organization, you got 3 kind of donors that are coming into a room right now. You've got the Dr. Smith that has consistently written you a $10,000 check every year for the last 37 years, period. Okay. Then you've got the middle generation of folks that are looking to support the organization, but want something in return.
Yep.
And that's either they bought it through the silent auction, they're buying it through a live auction, but they're willing to give, but they're wanting something in return. And then you got that last donor that will give you every minute of the day, but never a dime. So you've got those folks that you're trying to figure out how to cater to, and that middle road of folks, because if we all know things that nonprofits struggle with right now is retaining younger generation and donors.
Yep.
Because the older ones are passing on, and they're not necessarily leaving the philanthropic trends that they have done to their kids over the years. And so now we're kind of out there just free floating to make sure that we can figure out how to attach ourselves to a younger generation that will continue to come and support the organization. And that is through marketing great products that they want to buy.
Well, it speaks to the TikTok shop concept, right? Like, I am going to probably have a different spending behavior in a gala event surrounded by people I know than I will scrolling at home online. And so the TikTok shop behavior of like, I've seen it now 6 times. Now I need to click on it and look at it and maybe just buy it, is something that you're targeting a different type of activity and type of giving.
Yep.
So before the break, we talked a little bit about stewardship, and I want to circle back around to that and ask you, so when someone buys this package, let's say, for example, I am a donor to Monmouth Conservatory and I purchase a trip to the Caribbean. What is the process from there? And is there an opportunity for the organization to be a part of that experience in any way for them as sort of a stewardship opportunity?
Yes, you are teeing up the best questions. This is why you guys do what you do. So, donor stewardship, we have great packages, right? We have amazing customer service. It is about the donor experience. It's about them going on that experience, remembering why they purchased that at the event, having a great time, and coming back and reporting to the organization and to us that they enjoyed it. We look forward to working with you again for next year. Going to the sunny Caribbean is always positive, but it's the purpose that once the item has been sold in an event, the nonprofit will reach out to us, give us the winner's name, winning bidder is what we call them, come into the system, name, phone number, email address, winning bid amount. We'll enter that in the system. That will generate an invoice to the nonprofit. And once that nonprofit has paid that invoice, our team goes into effect, meaning that we will email that winner all of the booking vouchers with some preliminary information. Click this link, fill out, your Sky Miles number, whatever that it may be, some general information. And then our agent will reach out to call to confirm they got that email. Because, we got a lot of folks that night, they're writing down some weird stuff. You never know what that email address is. There's some liquid courage maybe behind some of this stuff.
Yes.
So, to confirm that they got it. And at that point, then set up a time to start scheduling their trip. Because you're assigned a personal concierge that comes into the system and that will book that trip with them from start to finish. Because we operate as a full service travel agency, if that winning bidder wants to add on more nights or add some additional tours or bring other people, that's what that agent is there to do. First class, white glove service throughout that entire process. Now, to drill down to what we call in the hospitality world, surprise and delights, is with our partnerships that we have through our vendors all over the globe. I say we dominate Napa. We dominate Napa because we own a hotel. We own our own wine brand. We're co-owners of a transportation company. So what's amazing is that when you've bought the Napa package to go to the Setting Inn and do multiple tastings, you have a chauffeur and dinner at French Laundry, all kinds of fun stuff. When that chauffeur pulls up in the parking lot to pick you up that morning, when you get in the car, they say, Dr. Smith, thank you for supporting XYZ organization in New York City.
Yes.
That immediately goes, this is not just some fly-by-night situation that I purchased in. And it immediately makes that donor go, oh, I feel good. I feel good that I spent money where I should and helped that organization raise money. And then that just starts their day. When we have folks check into the Plaza or other major brands that we use around the United States, we have asked the executive director to email us a thank you letter that we can put in the booking notes. So when people arrive, we could have had that letter printed. They could be handed to them with their room key and a one more thing of, thank you. This is Executive Director Stacy. We appreciate you supporting us. Enjoy your trip. Please call us when you get back. When you take pictures, tag our organization.
Oh, so good. So good. Kristen's eyes.
You both are like, oh my God.
Well, yes, because I want to go on that trip. One, but two, I think this is an arena that needs some continual amplification for our nonprofit friends, because I think sometimes historically consignment has been not that in our minds, that we're effectively bringing you in to help enhance the relationship. Instead of, we aren't turning that relationship over to you. And there's a fundamental difference there in terms of opportunity. Whereas we've all purchased that trip at an auction that we can't book. Right? I'm emailing the person, the dates that phrase mutually agreeable date kills us, right?
Right.
And it becomes sort of that thing that you're like, yeah, I've got this drawer of stuff that I haven't been able to use, and it doesn't sit as well at the end. And I do think there's a way for transactional giving to feel great, and to turn into an experience and to turn into a relationship. And if we're not doing that work, then it will only ever just be a transaction.
Yeah.
And your mission doesn't matter. So I think finding ways for that mission to come through and that relationship to continue to be amplified is great. If I'm new to the idea of consignment, I've got 40 million things I do. My event is one of them.
Right.
What do you mean? Janitorial supplies?
All of it. I'm IT, I'm HR, I'm
money.
all of it. Comms dev, all of it. All of it.
Yep.
Is it better for me to start shopping a catalog and having start to have an imagination about what my donors might want? Or should I call you and say, I want the dream Disney package? Like, how do people start? What does that look like?
Hey, Jason, this is what I've got going on. Let's talk through it. Because of having been in the industry for as long as I have, I mean, I've worked in and around thousands and thousands of events. And I like to share any tips and tricks that I potentially have to help small organizations, large organizations continue to reach their goals, because that is the whole main purpose of all of this, is hitting the goal that you need to hit to support the mission that you're out there busting butt for, period.
Yep.
So, I traditionally, when I go into a first conversation, there's some preliminary questions that I always ask. Are you using a professional auctioneer? Are you using a tech platform? Okay, tell me what's the most expensive item that you've sold in your event last year. Because if you say, I've only sold a $500 Weber grill, I don't know if this is going to work. And I'll be honest with you.
Right.
But if you said, we sold something for $10, $8, $12, $13, $20,000, okay, great. We've got some conversation here that we can have. I try to steer people away from our website in the beginning because it happens every time, and I'll bet you $1,000 every time. When somebody starts going, they're about 2 pages in and they forgot why they were there and they start shopping for themselves.
Yep.
So
1,000%.
Yep.
And I get that back every time. So what I do is after our conversation, I curate a list of some top sellers, highest grossing, theme oriented conversation we had. Hey, we got mostly a golf group. Hey, we got mostly an adrenaline group. Hey, we got a foodie group. And I kind of curate 20 packages to present first and say, okay, use this as a jumping off point.
Yep.
You look through these first, and then if we're not where we need to be, then go start digging into the website, because I've now trained them to not shop for themselves, to start thinking for what the organization is.
Yep.
Because if everybody on this call listens, hey, call me if you want to travel yourself. We're happy to work with you, but let's get business taken care of first, okay?
Yes.
And let's get that done, so it makes it easier for you to ask for a 2-week vacation when you exceeded your goals by using some of our products. Let's start with that.
I love it.
Well, I want to do like a rapid fire game real quick. Ready?
Okay.
So if I was designing a perfect experience and I call you and I'm with a food bank, what's a package or two you would recommend?
Definitely an in-home chef for sure. For 10 people with a wait staff to come and cook. It's great for any kind of donors. It could also be underwritten to give to folks that may potentially not have the opportunity to purchase that package at an event. So I'm going to figure out how to solve it in everything. So get ready.
Yep.
So what if we are an LGBTQ advocacy organization?
Let's go family. I have tons of LGBTQ packages from Gay Key West, Gay New York, Gay Nashville, Gay New Orleans.
What if we are a Civic Light Opera?
Oh, I love that, because we can go on a tour throughout Europe and see the roots of where opera was, of going through the trails of Buccelli and things along those lines to really make it impactful.
What if I'm a celebrity foundation, like a soccer star that has a family foundation?
Excellent. We love those soccer stars that have family foundations. We love those pro footballers that have those family foundations. Traditionally, I will say that when I work with some sort of a celebrity-driven organization, and that it's a high probability that a celebrity will be on that experience when we go, obviously we have to put in some additional security procedures, things along those lines. But I have some really cool behind-the-scenes stuff that some of the celebrities can't even get themselves.
And what if I was an elementary school? The other end of the
I love
spectrum.
elementary schools. First of all, I will throw this out there and say this is not rapid fire. I'm changing the subjects, but elementary schools, think about selling sponsorships of stairwells.
Oh, like your name on each stair?
Have an artist or whatever decorate the inside of the stairwell and call it the AutoZone stairwell or whatever that it may be that the kids are using all the time. I learned this because the Boys and Girls Club in New York, straight up and down, right? New York, they sold 2 floors in each section of the stairwell and had it decorated like that company. Like one of them was a treehouse company, and you had ropes you could pull up and stuff like that. But it was an opportunity for the kids to be entertained, plus gave them an opportunity to get in the door and help support the organization.
Oh, so
Super
good.
creative. Super creative. Now, old, senile, 50-year-old mind. What was the question?
If I was putting a consignment package together for an elementary school, but I like that one.
Well, definitely I would look around Disney and kid-friendly adventures. We're not going to send them to Napa, and we're not going to send them to New Orleans.
So let's talk, we mentioned the LGBTQ community. Let's talk about the fact that if we're doing an online auction and we're reaching a much broader audience in today's political environment, a lot of our nonprofits are sort of really worried about where the federal funding is coming. Mm-hmm. They're worried about whether or not they utilize language like equity in their mission, in their descriptions. Can you advise, is there any precaution or any advice you have right now around developing or marketing your online auction to a broad audience, not knowing who might be buying and tapping into and watching your social media for it?
That's such a tricky question in the environment.
I'm glad she asked you it and not me.
Yeah. I think it's just a very tricky environment right now. Yep. And depending on the level of how safe you feel, you can be targeted in who you broadcast the items to the event, who it may be. But then, I'm also on the ship of $50 is $50. And right now I'm happy to take your money. And if that's the case that we're going to be in, let's take as much of that kind of money as we possibly can.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I think it's one of those things that, if it's not a tangible item or if it's not something, like, what does it matter if they bought it? What does it matter? Like, you're going to send them off on experience, like if a straight couple that voted Republican that bought a Gay Key West package, maybe it'll be educational for them. Maybe that'll change their mind. Who knows? If it's a gay couple that bought a trip to go to the NRA and start shooting rifles, maybe that'll open their mind too. Who knows? The more that we can have some cross-pollination and communication is where we're going to learn how we can get along much better. Because listening to the news, you can't keep up right now. You can't understand what's happening. But and I think you and I all had this conversation when we were in Nashville together, when you sit down and have a conversation, everybody's kind of in the middle. You find those commonalities because it's what we do at Pride here in Sarasota. It's one heart, one mind at a time. And having those meaningful conversations outside of the craziness of left, right, colored, purple, green, whatever. Like, you put that aside and you realize I'm your neighbor. I put my pants on at the same time. I pay my taxes just like you do. Like, it's a little bit of everything. And when you have those conversations, it could be meaningful. And as a member of the LGBT community, like, it's time for us to help educate instead of fight and instead of retreating or hating someone because this is who they do. It's time for us to step out and say, let's have a conversation. Let's learn who I am and what you are and what we do. And let's talk about how we can help each other. And when we can get back to that, we're just going to be a better place. We're just going to be a better place.
I hear in our conversation today the opportunity for consignment auctions to be a solution for folks. I'm curious, and I'm sure folks listening are curious, like, cool, but what's the timeline for something like that? What's that actually gonna, it's like we talked about, couple hours to get the items up online, but total runway and total consideration when they're looking at the 40 hats that they're carrying. What does that look like to be successful for folks?
Yeah, that's a great question. Proper planning and promotion, we forget about that sometimes.
Yeah.
And we just go straight to, okay, we got cocktail hour, we got program, we got dinner, we got dancing. Done. No thought of how are we actually getting there? Okay, when somebody receives the invitation, does the event start then? Does that need to be carried through all the way from there to the beginning to the end? Is the follow-up supposed to look the same way? So it's the same kind of planning, not as heavy lifting and planning to prop up an online auction as it is to do a 500-person gala.
Right.
But proper planning and promotion is how you're going to gain the followers and exposure that you're looking for to make that successful.
Yeah.
So if you've got the time that you've prepped, I could say you prep for a week and get it launched, and then you run it and run your social media ads with it, run your email campaigns, put a block on your email signature, click this link to check out our Winspire website. All of those kind of things just continue to add up. While it may not be the big rocks, it's the sand we're sweeping in between those to support those big rocks.
Yep.
What about timeline on the actual use of the package too? Because I know that during COVID, we started to see that become a consideration. Is that a set standard for every package, or is it different?
Yeah, so unless it's a set date, if you're going to the Kentucky Derby, you're going to the Kentucky Derby,
right?
But if you want a package to go to Cancun, the winner has up to 2 years to use that package. We ask that you at least try to book it within the first year, even if it's a year out.
Yeah.
But, try to book it and be on the phone with us. Let's talk through it so we can go ahead and start looking forward to the times that they may want to come. Because if you're telling me April 27th, March 27th is where we're at. Yeah. March 27th.
June 27th. Yeah.
I'm is it 2028?
It's the longest year ever. Yeah.
It's happening. I know this week is the longest year ever. They need to be able to look forward, our booking agents do, to make sure that there's things available at those times. Because, when you plan a trip to Europe, you're typically a year out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
If you buy one of our Kilimanjaros or hiking Mount Everest, you need a 2-year runway to train a little.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're not buying it on Saturday night. And, hey, I just
for those listening, he used air quotes.
Yeah. Let's hope they trained a little. I love it.
So I think it's just, one of those things that we obviously work with every donor to fit what they need, and sometimes things happen. Some folks are at the last minute or not able to go on to their experiences. We work with them and extend that time.
Yeah.
They may have missed their flight and they push their time. We add some other nights on the end. We've got a lot of opportunities that it's really about making sure that donor is having the experience that they bought into the night of the event.
I love it.
That's great.
Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to jump into the fundraising elevator. We'll be right back. We've been partnering with Greater Giving for over 20 years as our go-to event auction software. Greater Giving allows us to do our job, planning fundraising events, even better because we can manage guest lists, seating, bid number assignments, and sales all in one place.
That makes it great for our nonprofit partners and their guests. Check out Greater Giving for your next event at greatergiving.com. Link in the show notes.
Welcome back. We are here with Jason Champion of Winspire, and we're going to get into the fundraising elevator. Jason, this is our moment to offer our nonprofit superhero friends. You've been full of so many tips and advice, but if you could boil down the most sort of, this is the thing I want to leave them with for them to hear so that they can continue to head up in the elevator, what would that be?
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. You got into this because you believed in the mission. And I know every day can be difficult, raising money for kids' cancer or heart disease or homelessness. You are a stronger person than what you think. And it may not be that every day that you get a thank you on your back, but no, folks like them right here and me, We're out here supporting you to look like a rock star. We're your services to help you. Thank you for doing what you do, but don't be scared. You're stronger than what you think you are.
I love that.
I so love that.
So when we're bravely moving forward and we want to call you and say, Jason designed the perfect auction with me, how do people find you? How do people get a hold of you?
Sure. You can shoot me an email, first of all, and my email is simple. It's jchampion@winspireme.com. Our website is Winspire Me, so it's wininspireme.com, winspireme.com. Check it out. Shoot me an email. Give me a call. My phone number is 949-339-4789. I've never given my phone out on a public
Here it goes. It's going to start ringing.
We'll see what I get now. But we're here, just talk. I mean, bounce ideas off of us. Like, this is the thing. We may not be the right fit for everyone, but we've got sources that could be. So that's the thing. Use us as the WebMD of auctions, and we'll be glad to help you in any way that we can.
The WebMD of auctions, Jason Champion and Winspire. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for rethinking and thinking about what could be possible for organizations out there. And we'll move bravely forward in our auction planning.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Fundraising Elevator is produced in partnership with Swaim Strategies at the studios of the AV department. The program is produced and directed by Steve Osborne, with audio engineering and original music by Dwayne Anderson, Heidi Christensen, and Adam Breeden. Video production by Shannon Doran. Graphic design by Pendulum Creative Group. Marketing by Lisa Aragon. Support from Mary Elizabeth, Todd Campbell, John Lyles, and Andy Dowsett. And voiceover by Josh Boykin.
Hey y'all, it's Kristen. Before we leave, I want to ask for your help to make the podcast grow. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please like, follow, and subscribe to the Fundraising Elevator. And if you're getting a lot out of the show, share it with a friend. Leave us a review. These things help make sure that the podcast continues heading up. Thanks so much for being here and tuning in.
Event planners are discovering Avenue, the Pacific Northwest's new AV-forward event venue, intentionally designed with nonprofit fundraising events in mind. From the 93-foot video production wall to the highest quality sound and lighting, premier AV features are included in every venue rental. You'll find the space and audiovisual enhancements to create your unique and memorable event. Visit avenueportland.com to schedule your personal tour.